can we please talk about UFC Fight Night coming up this weekend? Tyron Woodley against Colby Covington. It's one of the most anticipated fight cards of recent memory because we've had a lot of fight cards lately, and I love it. Do you know, I love having a fight every week, but I do feel some of the cards, especially the last one, were a little watered down. Speaking of watered down, Meerschaert Waterson, congrats. Completely ruined all of my picks because I thought that she was going to cruise to a decision loss, but she got a decision win. So, you know, fair play to her. And all that kid that smashed Roosevelt Roberts, well done. That's a hype train derailed. I'll be getting onto another hype train derailed like very, very shortly. So I'm going to go through this whole card because actually the whole main card is outstanding on this one. Just outstanding. You've got, obviously, you've got the bottom of the card, Darren Stewart against Kevin Holland. The Darren the dentist Stewart is that English fella who got submission last time out, and you've got Mackenzie Dern against Marcos. You've got Ryan Spann versus Johnny Walker at light heavyweight. You've got Meerschaert going up against Hamzat Chimaev, that guy who fought twice on Fight Island. Price against Cerrone, and obviously the main event, one of the most anticipated main events of recent memory, Colby Covington taking on Tyron Woodley. That is an outstanding card. An outstanding card. So, I'm going to start from the bottom up. We've got Darren Stewart taking on Kevin Holland. Now, the odds here. You've got Kevin Holland to win. You've got 140. You've got the knockout, 4.33. You've got the submission, 6.50. And you've got the decision at 2.25. Right now, adversely, you've got Darren Stewart, who is got the win at 3. That's pretty insulting odds, to be fair, because I think Darren Stewart's slightly better than that. I do feel, normally I'd say put a bet on that, but yeah, I do feel like Kevin Holland's probably got this one. You've got the knockout, 6.50. You've got the submission at 11.50. Now, I've starred that one because that could be one to go for. That's an outside bet. So you've got the decision at 5.50. The reason I say that Darren Stewart, the submission there, is that he did find the guillotine against his last opponent, so there's no reason he can't find it on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is not, you know, if you look at his record, he's not a world beater, but he is very good, and there is a reason he's a favourite. It's because he is most likely to win. Yeah, it's stating the obvious there. But, you know, you've got Darren Stewart, he's 12-5, he's got 7 knockouts to his name, and that lovely submission, like I said, against Pitolo. And Kevin Holland is 18-5 with 9 knockouts to his name. Obviously the win is the knockout of 4.33 for Kevin Holland. That's probably your best bet on that one because he's had enough knockouts to state that he's arguably it's one of his more favoured ways to finish it. I mean, the decision's very short odds because that's probably the most likely outcome. But yeah, I don't mind the knockout for Kevin Holland in that one. But either way, that's going to be a great scrap at £185 at the middleweight division. I'm going to be rooting for Darren Stewart. One of the reasons I'm going to be picking Kevin Holland, like putting money on him, is because I will be rooting for Darren Stewart. I want Darren Stewart to win this one. He's an excellent fighter from the UK. I always support the English guys. And yeah, but at least that way, if he loses, I'll get maybe a little bit of payment out of it. Moving on to Mackenzie Dern against Ronda Marcos. Right now, we've got the odds here. Mackenzie Dern to win, 1.50. Knockout, 8. You've got submission, 2.38 to 1. Starred that one because that's probably the most likely outcome. Decision, 4.33. And yeah, so you've got Ronda Marcos to win, 2.63. Knockout, 8. Got submission, 11s. And she does get submissions, so maybe. Probably not against Mackenzie Dern though. Decision is 4s. Okay, so thing is, Mackenzie Dern, we all know who Mackenzie Dern is. If you're an MMA fan, you know who Mackenzie Dern is, right? She's just very good. She's very good with submissions, and I see no reason she doesn't get the submission in this one here. 2.38 isn't bad odds actually for something that is so likely to happen. I mean, the thing is Ronda Marcos, she's no slouch. She beat Angela Hill, but she has lost to Rebus by decision. But also Mackenzie Dern lost to Rebus by decision. Thing to take away from that one, guys, keep an eye on Amanda Ribas, because she's the one that submitted Paige Van Zandt not long ago. But she has got incredible upside to her. She's got all the potential in the world. But I think Mackenzie Dern probably gets this one done by decision. I see no reason to pick against that. So that's what I'm picking. Next up, we have got the light heavyweights, right? Ryan Spann versus Johnny Walker. Now this is an interesting one, right? Because this is one of the arguable hype train ones. You've got the odds coming up here. Johnny Walker 1.73 to get the win. The knockout 2.38, and the submissions 17-1. Decision 5.50. Right? Then you've got Ryan Spann to win 2.38. Knockout, I've starred that one because that's what I'm going for, is 3.50. Submission 9s. You've got decision 5.50. Okay? Now, thing is, Johnny Walker, he's really good. But he's really good when he's able to be flashy. You know what I mean? Like, he had a really great flashy knockout of Justin Ledet, and he had a really good flashy knockout of Cerrone, but he tends to struggle when he goes up against people that have excellent basics. Like, he got knocked out by Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson's really good, but he's also very good at keeping the basics sharp. And that seems to be where Johnny Walker runs into trouble. Now, Ryan Spann has very good fundamentals. Like, he's got some really good notable wins here, actually. He's got Little Nog, Rogerio Nogueira, Devin Clark. Devin Clark was the chap who beat Alonzo Menefield. Many thought that Menefield would just blast through him, and Devin Clark showed he was good enough to beat Menefield, but Ryan Spann beat Devin Clark. So I mean, MMA math doesn't work that way, but still it was an impressive win. Sam Alvey also a very good solid win, and he's got very good basics. Now, interestingly, I don't know who's right here because you've got like Johnny Walker. One of the most striking things about Johnny Walker is his size. He's 6'6", which is huge. Like for the light heavyweight division, that is absolutely massive. But Ryan Spann, on his Wikipedia page, he's billed at being 6'5", but the UFC only billed him as 6'4". Now, I don't know. Is that a ploy to try and make it seem like Johnny Walker has got this in the bag when, in fact, I don't think he has. I am picking Ryan Spann in this one, right? Ryan Spann by knockout. The 3.50 for the knockout, I really like that because Johnny Walker has shown that actually, because he's got a lot of hype behind him because he had those flashy knockouts over the guys that weren't the guys that he was knocking out like that weren't necessarily the best caliber of opponent. And he's shown that when he goes up against better caliber opponents, he tends to come unstuck. And I see that happening this time. So I'm taking Ryan Spann as an underdog in that one. And the knockout, 3.50. That I like that. Terrible bet. Johnny, obviously going against the favourites always risky, but you know what I mean? I like taking the risk. I like to roll the dice, And Ryan Superman Spann, that's going to be a really entertaining fight. Can't wait for that one. And you have got Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert. Now, speaking of hype trains with Johnny Walker, this is another hype train that I think comes to an end here on Saturday night, right? Because Khamzat Chimaev, let's have a look at the odds. We've got the win at 1.25. We've got the knockout at 2.50. Submission at 3s. You've got the decision 5-1, right? And then you've got Gerald Meerschaert. You've got the knockout at 11. Just to win, he is 4-1. That is disrespectful. Those are some disrespectful odds right there. Because Meerschaert's record isn't brilliant. Anyway, right, let me finish going through the odds. So you've got the 4-1 on the win, knockout 11-1, submission 7.50, and that's worth noting as well because he's submitted a lot of people. Decision 12-1. All right. Now Meerschaert, look at their experience levels, yeah, because I want to go back to this 4-1. And why it's so insulting to Gerald Meerschaert, right? Because the other thing that's insulting is Dana White has already booked Chimaev for another fight after this on Fight Island, just presuming he's going to blast through Gerald Meerschaert. Now, okay, maybe he does, right? Maybe the hype train is real, but I've said this before. Hype trains are a dangerous thing because they skew the odds into places that they ain't supposed to be. Now, there's some real value at that 4-1 for Gerald Meerschaert, because that is what I'm taking in this one. I've had a tenner on that all day, because if I'm totally honest, right, whilst Chimaev, right, he looked really, really impressive on Fight Island. He had 2 fights on Fight Island, like back to back, like basically on back to back events. One at middleweight, one at welterweight. But look at the 2 guys that he fought, Rhys McKee and John Phillips. It's like they're Cage Warriors guys. I mean, no disrespect to those 2, but they are fresh out of Cage Warriors. They do almost no wrestling whatsoever, and Chimaev is an excellent wrestler. He's from Sweden, but he's from, like, by way of Dagestan, I believe. But he's one of these kind of Eastern European wrestlers, like the really hard-nosed, grindy kind. And he just got them down to the floor and beat up on them until they couldn't do it. And with respect to Rhys McKee and John Phillips, like, their ground game probably isn't up to the standard where it should be to be fighting somebody like that off. Now, Gerald Meerschaert, he's got a lot of submissions to his name. He's 31-13, so he's got experience on his side as well. You know, Chimaev's only 8-0. He's 31-13, 23 submissions, right? So actually the 7.50 to 1 on the submission is not bad. But you know what? Just having 4-1 on the win for Meerschaert, I like that, right? Because I think that this hype trains are dangerous, like I mentioned. You know, hype trains, it's like, okay, Chimaev, yeah, he looks really good against some tin cans, and that's all his record is. His record is 8-0, and it's all just tin cans. You know? Whereas Meerschaert, you know, he's fought some decent competition, but he's been fighting in the UFC for a little while. And I think that booking Chimaev for another fight after this straight away is disrespectful. And also just, you know, just having Meerschaert 4-1 outside. Like, in a 2-man fight, 4-1 is just disrespectful. And I think that Meerschaert has got a better chance than 4-1. I'm not saying he definitely wins, but he has a better chance than 4-1 against. 100%. So there's value there. I'm taking that all day. Terrible bet. Boom. Niko Price against Donald Cerrone, the co-main event, taking place at welterweight. Now, here are the odds. Niko Price, you've got to win 1.62. Knockout 2-1. Submissions 15-1, right? Decision 7.50, and you've got the cowboy Donald Cerrone. I always love to see him on any fight card. You've got to win 2.25, knockout 5-1, submission 8-1. You've got the decision at 5-1. Now, in this one, you know, realistically, I like Niko Price. Niko Price probably gets this done. Most likely by knockout. Now, I'm sorry, Donald. It's just I will be rooting for Donald Cerrone with all I'm worth, because I love the cowboy. Cowboy Donald Cerrone. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's just had such an outstanding career. He's somebody that fights anybody, anytime. He's not fake. There's nothing phony about him. He is who he is, and I fucking love that. Do you know what I mean? It's just really nice to see. And I'm not saying that Donald Cerrone hasn't got a chance to win this fight. He's got ways to win this. You know? Donald Cerrone has got excellent submissions. So 8-1 on the submission, I am tempted by. Don't get me wrong. I am tempted by it. You know, he's got outstanding kickboxing as well. So the knockout is there as well. Donald Cerrone has ways to win this fight. But I just feel like he doesn't seem to get the rub of the judges these days. I thought that Cerrone won his last fight against Pettis. If I'm totally honest, I do feel like he got a bit hard done by in that decision. However, still Cerrone hasn't looked good in his last run. But you know, he's only a couple of wins away from putting together another run to maybe get a go at the title before he retires. And if he's still motivated, you know, there's every chance that he can do that. However, Niko Price is a beast. He is. Niko Price is really bloody good. Just when he knocked out Randy Brown with hammer fists from the bottom. Go back and watch that fight. Watch these hammer fists, man. Who does that? Who knocks somebody out with hammer fists from the bottom? I'll tell you. It's Niko Price. Niko Price probably gets this one done by knockout. And that's my pick. The main event of the evening. This is one of the most anticipated fights of recent memory. I absolutely bloody love this fight. Right? you've got Tyron Woodley taking on Colby Covington, right? So the odds up here, you've got the win, 3.75 for Woodley. The knockout, 5.50 for Woodley. The submission, 11-1. Considering he got that submission on Darren Till, that's not a bad shout. The decision, 12s, okay? But you've got Colby Covington coming in as the favourite. To win is 3.7. That can't be right. 1.75. My bad. 1.75 for win. The knockout is 5s. You've got the submission at 10-1. You've got the decision at 1.73. Right? So basically, yeah, you got like it. I mean, Covington by decision is the obvious choice, isn't it? I think that Covington just puts on an amount of pressure that Tyron Woodley is probably not going to be able to deal with. Tyron Woodley, he just seems to think that he can come in, say Black Lives Matter all the time, like just to try and make it political, try and like stir the pot to get eyes on it, which it will, right? And but I just feel like Tyron Woodley, he's been dominated in his last 2 fights by volume. Covington is a volume fighter. I don't see this going any other way than a Colby Covington decision. That's not to say that Tyron doesn't have ways to win this fight. No, the knockout could be there because he does swing, but it seems like he waits too much for the knockout. So, yeah, I'm going to take Colby Covington in that one, going with the favourite. Now, my main bets. When you look through here, sorry, my producer Paddy, just preparing this information. Now, I've got all my main card picks. I'm taking Stewart over Holland just because the odds are there. And you know what? He's got a better chance than 3-1. Stewart over Holland. Mackenzie Dern to beat Marcos. Ryan Spann to beat Johnny Walker. Gerald Meerschaert to beat Chimaev. And Price to beat Cerrone. Covington to beat Woodley. That is 78.51 to 1. That is worth a £5 free bet. Nothing, not real money though. Do not put real money on that. That is a terrible bet. Awful. Terrible. But I do quite like my Spann, Price and Covington treble, which is 4.36 to 1. Spann, Price, Covington treble, 4.36. I like that bet. That's a great terrible bet. Awful. Obviously one of those is going to fall out, but even more terrible than that, the other one that I really like is my 3 kings of knockouts. You've got the 3 kings of Aura. These are the 3 kings of the knockouts. Even though Colby Covington hasn't knocked anybody out in quite some time, I quite fancy him to maybe overwhelm Woodley here and possibly get the finish with his hands, maybe on the floor with some ground and pound. But if you put that together with Niko Price to get the knockout and Ryan Spann to get the knockout, you get a terrible bet. 35-1. 35-1 on those 3 knockouts. I bloody love that bet. I love this card. I love those bets. I love this fight card. Enjoy the fights. We'll see how all these bets went next week. Until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.